Okay, we're on the north side of the house over by the condensing unit, and what we have here is this piping is for the water heater. One is for the condensate drain line, and the other one is for the um, pressure relief valve. Senior moment there. Been having a lot of those. In a previous video, I mentioned that there wasn't a main water shutoff valve to the house, but actually there is. This is the main water shutoff valve to the house. Parallel is on, perpendicular is off. We're up here at the northeast corner of the home. The snow melted a little bit. I was able to see a little more. This is the water heater. Now, one thing, it's a tankless water heater. We do not have to have safety pans on most tankless water heaters. The thermostat's right here at the water heater. As per the manufacturer's instructions, and this one's in the garage, and so, that's what we get. This is high energy efficient, so this is the condensate drain line. You'll see this dripping on occasion. Okay, so when we're over here, when that pipe drips, that's normal operation. When this pipe drips, you have a problem. Probably should be labeled. So that's condensation and that's pressure valve. In fact, I'm going to say, water heater, pressure valve, and condensation drain lines should be marked. I just made that up. I don't know if there's a requirement for that. One thing that the condensate drain line does not have is a filter. The water coming out of here is very acidic. If it's not going into the plumbing, if it's going out to the exterior like that, two things. One, I don't think a filter is required. Two, it's supposed to go to a non-obtrusive, anyway, it's supposed to go to a place that's not going to cause you any grief. All right? And if it drips a lot, it's going to drip right next to your foundation. So it's just something to consider. The foundation keeps getting wet there. It's not wet in other places. The yard keeps dying there. Maybe you do want a filter. This is your pressure relief valve right here. Works. I usually don't open those. Now this is kind of an interesting thing that I've been coming across. You're not supposed to have threaded piping on the ends. But this threaded piping in the middle. So what is that? What does that tell us? I'm gonna write it up. But, I'm not a proud man. I might be wrong about this particular application. I'm seeing it in a lot of new construction. And everywhere I read, it says the end should not be threaded. The end should not be threaded. So, okay. Now, see this red tape underneath here? That is for your gas. That's how they dial it in. That's how they adjust it. See, you can just bolt this thing up and it's going to work. It's been working. But they didn't adjust it. And, if you had a conventional water heater and you have this water heater, it'll probably save you money. It's supposed to be high efficiency. It'll probably work for you just fine. But this is a sports car. This is a sports car. This is not the beater work truck. So what this is for, being a sports car, a Lamborghini, if you will, it's supposed to be dialed in so that you maximize the flame, so that you maximize your efficiency, so that it works perfectly well. That has not been dialed in. It takes a manometer to do that. And I guess a lot of plumbers don't carry a manometer on their truck. Most plumbers wouldn't know how to read a manometer, to be frank. So anyway, so the gas wasn't dialed in. Now we have our tale of caution. And see these two caps right here? This is supposed to be serviced once a year. You're supposed to flush a conventional water heater once a year, but nobody does that. And that lasts about 10 years. I get that. But you spent, a lot more money for this water heater than a conventional tank water heater. And it's more finicky. It's a sports car. So if you don't flush these out, and there's instructions, because you can mess this up, man. Don't do this if you don't know what you're doing. You can get instructions on YouTube or whatever. If you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with it. Get a plumber to do it. But regardless, it needs to be flushed out once a year. That's the difference between these things lasting 5 years, a more expensive water heater lasting 5 years, or 15 years. You want to get 10 more years use out of this guy so that it pays for itself. It's called a return on your investment. And you will not get a return on your investment. Most likely, you will not get a return on your investment if you don't clean that out. And adjusting the gas will help you get a return on your investment. That's our tankless water heater. What do we learn? We learned that the gas wasn't dialed in. We learned that we don't have a care and use manual here. I didn't mention that. We learned that we don't have a filter on our condensate drain line. We learned that our condensate drain line and our pressure valve drain lines are not labeled. We learned that our pressure drain line is threaded.